All right, so let's jump right in. You know that feeling, that sense that our world is changing at just this absolutely breakneck speed? Well, what if I told you it's not just a feeling? What if we're actually living through a transformation just as huge, just as disruptive as the Industrial Revolution? We're literally moving from a world we thought we knew to a brand new one that, well, it plays by a completely different set of rules. You can think of it as a tale of two different ages. It's like society is trying to run two completely different operating systems at the same time, and they're clashing, and you and we're living smack dab in the middle of that system reboot. So on one side, you've got the industrial age. This is the world our parents grew up in, the one all our institutions were built for, right? It was all about hierarchy, stability, predictability. Efficiency was the name of the game. But then on the other side, you have this emerging information age. It's the complete opposite. Worked super dynamic, and it runs on knowledge. And here's the thing. These two systems aren't just politely coexisting. Nope, they are in direct conflict with each other. So what's the engine behind all this? What's driving this massive, massive shift? Well, it's a force that has completely, and I mean completely, rewired our planet in just a handful of decades. It's a radical concept called hyperconnectivity. Author Thomas Friedman really nailed it when he said the world has gone from just being connected to being hyperconnected. And that this is, quote, the biggest thing happening on the planet today. Think about that. It's like this invisible force field that's driving pretty much every major trend we see all around us. Okay, to really get our heads around the sheer scale of this revolution, we got to look back at how we even got here. And the story, believe it or not, starts with the evolution of the one thing that makes society even possible, and that's communication. So if you look back, each era of communication allowed for more and more complex societies. First, you had the oral era, basically one-to-one. Then came the literacy era with writing, and the printing press, which gave us one-to-many. Same thing with the electrical era, radio, TV, it's all one-to-many. But the digital era, whoa, this is the big one. It's a revolutionary leap because for the very first time in human history, we have many-to-many communication instantly and on a global scale. That changes everything. And the scale of this is, well, it's just staggering. I mean, get this. Back in 2020, the estimate was that there would be 50 billion work devices on the planet. And we're not just talking about your phone and your laptop. We're talking about our cars, our homes, our cities. Pretty much everything is getting hooked up. And that is hyperconnectivity. It's this all-encompassing digital web that connects people and things anytime, anywhere. The key takeaway here is that it's not something you log into and out of. It's the actual environment we now live in. So, what kind of world actually emerges from this new reality? What happens when the very structure of our society gets totally rewired? Well, welcome to the network. The sociologist Manuel Castells was really the one who gave us the key definition here. He called it the network society, and he described it as a society where the main social structure isn't the big corporation anymore, or even the government. The core structure is the network itself, and it's all powered by our modern information and communication tech. And I love this quote from Clay Shih because it really drives the point home. He says this is not a new tool. This is an ecosystem change. So think about that. It's not just about us getting cool new gadgets like smartphones. It's a fundamental change to our entire environment. Kind of like what happened when the printing press came along. And in this new ecosystem, the core logic of how society works, it just flips. We're moving away from a world that was all about things, and we're moving into a world that's all about connections. Suddenly, things like access, the flow of information, and where you are positioned in a network, that all becomes way more important than what you physically own. And there's some really cool math behind this. It's this idea that in a network, the connections actually grow way faster than the components. Think about it. If you add one person to a group, you're just adding one node. but that one person can connect to everyone else who's already there. So the nodes grow one by one, but the connections between them grow. And that's why the network itself becomes the most powerful and valuable part of the whole system. So, okay, this new network structure doesn't just change how we talk to each other, it actually creates entirely new ways of generating value. And as you might guess, that creates a whole new social ladder. You can think of it like this. In our new economy, data is kind of the raw material, right? It's everywhere. But the real value isn't in just having a bunch of raw data. The value, the power, comes from being able to move up this pyramid. Can you take raw data, turn it into useful information, then synthesize that into actual knowledge and maybe even wisdom? That's where the new value is being created. And this creates a really stark new social divide. Castells breaks it down into two major groups. You're either included or you're excluded. The switched-off labor are those people who just have nothing, the network values. But even within the included group, there's another split. You have what he calls self-programmable labor. These are the flexible, skilled analysts and creators who can manage information. And then you have generic labor. People whose skills are basically interchangeable and, unfortunately, disposable. Now this quote from Castells, it's pretty blunt, but it's absolutely crucial to understanding this new world. He says, the global network economy is built to do one thing: integrate the people and places that have value and exclude everyone and everything else. It's a ruthless logic. It means power isn't about owning factories anymore. It's about whether you are included in or excluded from the network. So where does that leave us right now? Well, it leaves us in this incredibly volatile, confusing and, let's be honest, pretty chaotic period of transition. We've got one foot in the old world and one foot in the new. And this is exactly why everything can feel so unstable right now. Our old industrial age, institutions, government, education, you name it. They're failing, but they're still here. At the same time, these new network structures are popping up, but they're not fully formed or stable yet. And it's this messy overlap, this grinding of gears between the old and the new, that creates all this friction and instability. There's actually a term for this moment in history. Systems theorists call it a bifurcation point. Basically, it just means we're at a huge fork in the road. The old system is breaking down for sure, but the new one isn't set in stone. The path forward, it is completely up for grabs. Which, of course, brings us to the ultimate question. The old world is fading. The new one isn't built yet. So, what on earth happens next in this chaotic space in between? I want to leave you with a really powerful idea from the sociologist Immanuel Wallerstein. He argued that when a system is in this chaotic, confused state, this bifurcation point, the normal rules just go out the window. Think about it. In a stable system, you need a huge amount of effort to make a big change. But right now, in this chaos, even small inputs can have massive, unpredictable results. And what that means for us, for you and me, is that our choices, our actions, every little thing we do over the next 20 to 50 years is going to have an absolutely huge impact in shaping whatever world comes next.